Hi everyone. I'm Jordy.
Jordy, we've been expecting you. Hi, I'm Mallory.
Pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. This is my other half, Muldoon.
How's it going?
Going pretty well. Pleasure to meet you.
And this is Kuti.
Very nice to meet you, Kuti.
Pleasure's all mine, thank you.
Man?
Of course, take a seat. Any trouble getting here?
No, none whatsoever. Traffic was wonderfully cooperative today.
Very good. Let's take that as a sign of good things to come. I think we can begin.
Yes.
Shall we jump right into it?
Let's talk about your project. You sounded very excited over the phone. I can't wait to hear about it.
Do you want me to just go ahead and dive in, or?
Sure. Dive right in, my friend.
Okay, so the film I want to make is about political corruption. Now, I feel that political corruption is almost a systemic corruption of man. See, when one makes political films or TV shows, they tend to go on about kickbacks, throwbacks, slashbacks, graphs, etc. But basically, it's politicians selling themselves into, well, essentially what is an official form of prostitution. I mean, this abject bribery that we call a political system isn't officially listed under prostitutional activities, but there are possibilities for it to be reclassified as such in the near future. I mean, one might say it's a logical progression for politicians to just officially sell themselves, to admit to their own unique kind of prostitution. But the finer question to ask oneself, are politicians consciously selling themselves? I mean, and if so, they must be the most delusional prostitutes of all, and that in itself is arguably the most truest scandal of politics. Are they so irredeemably corrupt that they are unaware of the fact that they've made commodities of themselves? And are they unaware of the fact that they have placed themselves in a market where they themselves are to be exploited? Is the main issue of politics strictly an issue of political corruption, or is it more a systemic corruption? One that lies much deeper than any of us can really fathom. Is it, as Bellatar once observed, ontological in nature? An improper design? Or worse, an improper design on purpose? I mean, one can continue in this infinite loop about the hopelessness of politics, if it is in fact hopeless. Actually, my boyfriend and I were talking.
You have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
How long have you guys been together?
About 3 months.
That's great.
We're totally into that.
So am I. Can I continue? Okay, where was I? Corruption. This corruption of politics, or more specifically, a deeply embedded corruption that lies in the heart of man himself.
Let's get back to your boyfriend. I think we would all agree that there's enormous potential there.
Well, honestly, we've only been dating for about 3 months, but the relationship's quickly getting stale.
We can possibly incorporate your orientation into your project.
How does my sexual orientation enter the equation of politics?
Well, for example, there was that amazing New Jersey governor who came out a few years back.
Yeah, but he came out after it was discovered he was a lying sack of piss, like his predecessor and successors. It's just one more pile of pus to add to the ever-growing landfill that is corrupt New Jersey politicians.
Well, maybe we can talk about the first time you discovered your sexuality.
Absolutely. I think that's an amazing way to go.
Wait, why is that amazing?
He can talk about, the first time that you found a man sexy.
Absolutely. Oh my God, Muldoon, that would be totally amazing. We could talk about the first time that you felt love for another man. So tell us, when was the first time?
Okay. It was the first time I saw a picture of Yukio Mishima. I thought he was hot.
Wow. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I love that 5'2" body and all its muscular lavender glory. I had an erection for days.
Well, did you post pictures all over your room? Did you build a shrine to this sexy man?
Not really. I kept 1 or 2 of his photos, but then I decided to buy his books. I'm actually particularly fond of Decay of the Angel.
Ooh, hopefully the book won't come into play in your project. It sounds very downbeat, decay, negative, bad. Did he have a happy, positive novel?
Before we proceed on this biopic of Mishima, what does this have to do with the film I want to make?
We could add a little risque element to this, to give us that edge that we're always looking for. I mean, did you get down and dirty with yourself when you saw this picture?
Excuse me?
Look, I'm not usually one for open sex talk, but it would give us some edge if you could talk about that in some detail.
I mean, you must have done something to yourself, right?
The objects and frequency of my masturbation should not be the subject of mine or anyone else's film.
You should be more open about this. Seriously. This is a great time for you to explore your feelings about your sexuality and share your most private moments of your life with the world. I'm going to say something that may upset you a bit, but I have a strong need to communicate this with you. You almost sound ashamed of being gay. And that's nothing to be ashamed of.
I've never been ashamed of being gay. I volunteered the information to you guys, remember?
Yeah, but you weren't very forthcoming with the information. We had to pry it out of you. And if I may say, and I think the panel would agree with us, I'm sensing a lot of hostility, a lot of aggression here.
I am too. And quite frankly, we're surprised and a little disturbed by this development. You came highly recommended.
Yeah, well, I'm a little disturbed about your insistence on intruding into my personal life. And not to mention the fact completely ignoring my earlier comments about politics.
All right, we need to take a time out here. Pull back a little bit.
Timeouts for everyone. Deep breaths. You should join us in this relief session. It will do you good.
Okay. Great. Okay. I'm wonderfully peachy now. I'm filled with the lollipops, ginger, and sunshine.
Good.
Now, who was this man that got you hot? Julio Moshoma.
Yukio Mishima.
Right. And was Yukio like a high school gym teacher that you had the hots for, but you were too repressed to tell?
No, as I informed you before, he was an author. He wrote novels, plays, essays, a real honest-to-God Renaissance man.
So you never got to know him?
No, he died before I was born.
That's so sad. You never got to be with your first
He
love.
was not my first. Okay, look, he was just a man that I had a crush on. He didn't pop my cherry, I didn't pop his.
Well, he was gay at least, right?
I mean, he was a part-time gay. Bisexual. Married, had a few kids, but enjoyed the company of men quite frequently. But he also raised a family. He was quite diverse.
So when did Mishima come out?
I don't know.
When did he know he was attracted to men?
He saw a picture of Saint Sebastian and got a hard-on.
Ew, this isn't some Catholic priest.
No, it has
molestation
nothing to do with the Catholic Church.
Did you see the same pic and get one too?
I saw a picture of the Saint Sebastian and got nothing from it. I'm not religious.
Fair enough. But let's get back to the picture of Mishima and your deep...
Okay, hold on, stop. Okay, look. I don't carry around snapshots of Mishima in my wallet or on my phone. I just wanted to make a film about political corruption, not a cinematic Valentine to Mr. Mishima.
Hey.
You need to control your temper, young man. We are on your side. We want you to feel liberated and free, okay?
We need to find a good compromise.
Compromise is good. Working together, common ground. What is it, Muldoon?
We can talk about Mishima's politics. And then we can talk about how his homosexuality colored his politics.
I think that's a great idea. I'm assuming Mishima's politics were very open-minded and liberal.
Mishima was quite embedded in Japanese politics.
That's great. Talk more about that.
Well, he was, in many respects, a far-right nationalist who wanted to restore Japan to the emperor. He thought that Japan was being corrupted by the Western influences, and he thought he wanted the Western influences to be eliminated or at least severely limited. He actually created his own private army for this purpose, and his army took over an army base in Japan, and he gave a speech imploring the soldiers to restore the emperor. They laughed at him. Deeply dishonored, he ended up committing seppuku.
We're gonna drop that angle.
Yeah, that's like out there. It's like totally out there. We could never do that.
That's not such a bad angle. Like I said, Mishima felt that Japanese politics were being corrupted by the Western influence. Now, we could go with that angle, talk about his work within the context of my film.
No. We're not going to do that. Okay, that just sounds so depressingly fascist. Fascism doesn't leave us with a feeling of positivity. We need positivity here.
Okay, so how about we do this? How about I come back again and we just do this whole thing over again? I didn't realize we were going to have a softcore porn discussion about the objects of my affection and reducing a brilliant man like Mishima to that of a pinup idol.
You seem to be the one who is belittling Mishima. You keep insisting that his homosexuality is a minor part of him.
See, there you go again. Denial is a disease, Jordy. You're directing your anger towards your boyhood love and diminishing this great man.
Why are you calling him a great man? You didn't even know who he was until I told you a few minutes ago, and now all of a sudden you two are the great defenders of Mishima's legacy?
Okay, we need to take another time out.
Oh, God, what is this, kindergarten? Do I have to go squat in a corner? Where's the dunce cap, huh? Whoa. What was that eye roll for? Oh. No, I know exactly what you're thinking, sister. Drama queen and meltdown.
No, I would never think such a stereotypical thing. Never.
No. Of course not. You would just think it, then pay someone else to say it for you.
Hey, we are very open-minded and tolerant. You're acting as if we're homophobes.
Yeah, and I will say without a doubt that Mallory and I are not homophobes. My graduate dissertation was on gay sex and its hidden masked effects on society and culture. I dedicated a whole section to Liberace.
And let me guess, Mallory here assisted you on this magnificent thesis.
It actually was my idea. I felt that it would give him even more opportunities for enlightenment.
So what made you choose Liberace?
Well, Liberace was a very campy entertainer. People back in his time had almost no taste or enlightenment whatsoever. It was very primitive, like a modern equivalent of the Dark Ages.
The audiences of the 1950s and the 1960s were some of the most ignorant people of our entire country. They were nowhere near as amazing and enlightened as we are today.
Those people, as you derogatorily referred to them as, are actually much smarter than you will ever be. God, see, they saw Liberace for what he was first and foremost. An artist. They saw the full man.
But they didn't know that he was gay. That was the most important thing in his life.
In fact, then even the moon knew Liberace was gay. People back then just didn't say anything. Maybe they suspected, who knows? You weren't there, I wasn't there, who knows what went through those people's minds at the time. Obviously, you two don't. And I find your dismissiveness toward Liberace's fan appalling. Liberace was many things. Like Mishima. Sure, yeah, he was gay. But that was only part of his persona.
His sexuality is what defined him.
God, keep saying that like it was dogma. And you know what? I'm going to answer it with my own equally dogmatic response. No, it's not. Liberace was one of the finest musicians that this country ever produced. He was an incredibly accomplished pianist. A great pianist and entertainer. He had panache, style, grace, and most important, talent. He could play anything. Blues, jazz, classical, rock, but more importantly, he created a world with his music. And he was often mocked and ridiculed by the critics of his day, much like what you're doing right now. And you just reduce him to one characteristic of his personality, like a scientist would slap a label on a petri dish.
His entertainment was primitive at best. How can you defend such campy drivel?
No, but his music wasn't drivel. It was eternity. He was a poet of panache, a draconian angel who danced with the heart of the sun. Liberace never walked among us. He glided among us. A true gentleman, artist, a tender, fragmented, flawed soul with a heart full of diamonds and forever blessed with the jewelry of angels. That's who he was. Not some old queer who liked to take it up the ass, which is all you two nerdbusts have reduced him to.
Well, that's what the people of that time needed, for someone to stand up and scream out, "He takes it up the ass." That would have knocked those bourgeois pigs out of their conformity. That's what they needed, not Liberace's musical world, as you call it. It would have been truly amazing and awesome to witness something like that.
Really?
Yeah, really.
So all you got out of your research was that Liberace was fond of anal sex, and that his audiences shouldn't have been marveling over his dexterity, but they should have been more concerned about whether or not he took it up the ass or liked getting fisted.
You are being a complete homophobe about this.
You're a self-loathing gay man.
Oh, so I'm an Uncle Tom to you, or maybe an Uncle Faggot.
I am appalled that you would use such language. Your hate for gay people and yourself is astounding.
I got a burning question for you, buddy. Do you take it up the ass?
No.
Hey, your boyfriend here just majorly freaked out over my question about a common sexual position of gay men. It looks like he's the one having a homophobic moment.
Oh my God. You're right. Muldoon, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I know. I'm in a moment of deep shame.
You should not have had such a visceral reaction. Someone could easily construe that as homophobic.
I know. Next time, I will smile and say that I would be open to what Jordy suggested.
I did not say to go that far. That is gross.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you wanted me to say.
Why would I want you to say that? Oh my God. You could really be useless sometimes. You really need a lot of work. Muldoon is the project that never ceases.
Can I ask you a question, Muldoon? Why do you take this shit?
What shit?
Miss Catherine, the not-so-great regime over there. I mean, it's like she's got your manhood isolated in an island in the Pacific. Does she let you do manly stuff every once in a while? Like, watch an hour of football? I mean, she has to be careful not to overload you with too much testosterone, right?
You're coming off as anti-gay and anti-women. How is that even possible?
Listen, bitch, I'm more masculine and more feminine than both of you bitches combined. And I'm not anti-woman. I'm anti-you. And I am much more of a man than your pussy boy sitting next to you. You're the kind of guy who acts all emo, sensitive, and then watches bestiality porn after she passes out after her daily dose of Mama's Annex. And if Mishima were here, he would kick your pussy ass back to 1925.
Next, you'll be telling us that you're against gay marriage.
Bitch, I don't want to get married. I just want to fuck freely without even legal repercussions. I've seen enough straights fuck up their lives with marriage. Like you two monkeys.
You're disgusting. How can you be against getting married?
We thought gay people were more enlightened than this.
Keep throwing that word around. Is that the only word they taught you in college? Hey. Cootie. Hey.
What, me?
Yeah, before I go over there and kick the M&M twins' collective ass, why haven't you said anything? Or are you just here for decorative purposes?
You see, Jordy? Well, to let you in on a not-so-secret secret, I'm just the dark shade of furniture here. They don't actually care about anything I have to say. I'm here to make them feel good about themselves. A small dissipation of their white guilt. I'm just collecting a paycheck. It's a pretty good racket, you know? I give the room a nice African flavor. But to let you in on a family secret, my parents are actually from Colombia.
Our conversation isn't finished.
Oh, I think our conversation is pretty much finito.
No, it isn't. This is an important dialogue for you to have. Okay, you have this deep-seated homophobia with a predilection for refusing to talk about your sexual preferences in an open forum because of a deep-rooted shame, probably from a very religious upbringing.
My parents are pagan, thank you. Oh, but I am praying to God to give me patience because, I would really love to slit you pricks up into 1,000 pieces, but you know what? I gave up justified violence for Lent. So, in the meantime, since you two are so utterly fascinated with the act of gay sex instead of the rampant political corruption and snarling of Saul, I'm gonna lay you a snapshot of my gorgeous, firm, yet lavender, yet glorious ass.
Okay, Gabe, let's hear your pitch.
Okay, it's about this guy who thinks he's famous and known around the world, but he's not. Nobody knows who this guy is. He's not even a has-been.
You mean it never was?
More like it never will be. Just a delusional guy who thinks everyone in the world loves and adores him. The ironic thing is people actually do know him, can't stand the bastard, and would pitch in their life savings just to have him deported back to Cuba.
Is he based on a real person? And if so, did you know him personally?
Yes, unfortunately. It's based on someone I used to work with. We're both Cubans, so
Wait, you're Hispanic?
yeah, Cuban, Hispanic.
We could totally work with that.
Absolutely. We are totally down with Mexican Americans.
I said I'm Cuban.
Yeah, but you can just pretend to be Mexican, right? I mean, there's really not much difference, is there?
Oh, you're so fucking dead.